jiu-jitsu can be really complicated, and there's a lot of information that comes at you in a class, and it can help to have some strategies to aid you in retaining information, putting it together, and feeling like you gain something from every lesson. So some examples here. When we start a lesson, you're going to be taught a move by your professor, by your coach, and it's usually going to start with a grip and then proceed through a bunch of details, right? Like details on the grip, let's say for an arm drag, details on where the foot is, on where your hips are, on where your grip is, okay? Details on your weight transfer and how you follow that up, okay? And that's a lot. Every move, I would say, has somewhere between like 3 to 5 main details that you want to remember, but there can be as many as 12 pointers that your coach is giving you on how to do it a really specific way or to mitigate a really specific defense, okay? So how are you going to remember all that? First thing I do is I try to think about what are the most important details, right? So for me, if I'm doing an arm drag, I like to make sure that I get that wrist across my hips. I like to make sure that I can reach up nice and high under the armpit, and I try to make sure that my weight flanks and I transfer it through my arms, right? So there's all these details to remember, but if I'm seeing the move for the first time, I'm gonna try to focus in on what I think is really important, right? And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna picture that I'm taking those details and I'm repeating them to myself. So get that grip on the wrist, make sure that wrist passes your hips, get that nice high cross grip, and now transfer your weight in the flank as you pull. And I'm gonna put them in a box. And I'm literally gonna visualize myself putting those details in order in a box. I'm gonna close that box, I'm gonna give it a name. And it could be arm drag, or it could be a detail, right? It depends what triggers you. If you think that that high grip is something you really need to remember, you can remember like high grip on the arm drag, and that's what you're gonna name your box. Okay, so it's personal, it doesn't have to be one thing in particular. So now we have this box with these details in it, but our coach isn't done, he's gonna teach us more. Okay, so we're gonna repeat everything, put it in that box, we're gonna put that box to the side. Okay, and now we're gonna go on to our next move, and we're gonna do the same thing. And your coach is gonna teach like 1 or 2 ways usually. Either we're gonna go through a sequence, so I arm drag my partner, I get on his back, I secure, maybe I put in a finish and I get a tap, okay? Or it's gonna be options, like you could arm drag your opponent and get his back exposed. You could arm drag your opponent, you could pull back, and we're gonna shoot a double. Okay, and then maybe there's a third or a fourth move, like you're gonna arm drag your opponent, he's gonna put a leg up. And we're gonna attack that leg. Okay? So in either case, whether you're learning a sequence, like a move to a move to a move, or you're learning a situation, which is the way the move can be used in this position, how it might be defended, and what are some options around it, okay? I prefer the second for more advanced students, but it doesn't really matter for you. In either case, you learn 3 maneuvers, okay? And all you need to do now is take your 3 moves, all those details, your 3 boxes, and we're gonna connect them into a story. So you're gonna find something that links these. So for you, if that's arm drag sequence to rear naked choke, right? So I have a name for 3 boxes. Each box has its own name, and inside each box are its own set of details, okay? Or it could be options off the arm drag from hook guard, right? Where I'm gonna drag, and then based on whether I broke my opponent's balance or he defended by pulling with his upper body or with his lower body, okay? I now have a name and a narrative, okay? So when I go home, on my way, I'm driving home, I'm gonna think about this a little bit. I'm gonna think, hey, can you think about those details from that first box? I think about my arm dragging. It's like, yeah, I remember I had to get that wrist across my hips and get that high grip, and I had to get my hips out on that flank, right? And then I'm like, well, what else did we learn? Well, we learned a whole bunch of options off the arm drag today. So I remember that there was those details for arm drag, and I remember that those were those other options. You could pull back, you could post his leg. And just a few minutes of this in the car, you call this active recall, and you're going to remember so much more detail than you thought, and it's going to be ordered. And now you have like this set of movements, this set of information, and you can come back the next day and you can learn more, but you're not going to forget this, okay? Because you did it, you mentally placed it, you took just an extra second to do that. And then you took just a few extra seconds in the car to recall it actively. And you know what the best would be if you did that a little bit before the next lesson as well. And if you start taking these maybe 5 extra minutes of mental work during and after your lesson, and maybe the day after your lesson, you're going to be able to take in so much more information than you thought. You're not going to have to build your game just around one move, though you do start that way. You're going to be able to very quickly just start solving the problems that you run into and retaining the information that your coach is trying to transmit to you during your classes.